Welcome to the show, Brian Henry. You are a musical director, keyboard player, producer, as you with over 28 years of experience across a number of countries. Your style of music is rooted in funk, R&B, soul, reggae, pop, and jazz. During this time, you've worked with the Jacksons, Kool and the Gang, Natalie, Kool, Donna Summer, to name just a few. For the last 12 years, you've been the keyboardist and talk boxer for Soul to Soul. There's a ton of stuff to talk about with you, Brian. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. And please do tell us more.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure. It's lovely to make your acquaintances, Like I said, my name is Brian Henry, UK based, born in Forest Gate, East London. I'm a keyboard player, musical director, and arranger. Artists call me, UK artists, artists from the States. And then when they need a band, they'll call me. I'll get my crew in. I'll do the shows. I'll put the music together, arrange it, bring their vision to life. That's the way I like to look at it, and then we'll hit the road and we'll go on tour,
Nice.
The flip side to that, what I also do as well is I'm an educator as well. So I teach, well, in the UK, I'm in the Academy of Contemporary Music, both their campuses, teaching keyboards, music production, business, performance, but I also run international workshops. I call them LPW International, where we've rolled it out in Dubai, UAE, Saudi. Well, basically, because a lot of people are learning to play instruments, but there are a lot of young musicians that are coming in that haven't actually learned the aspects of performance.
Right.
We can all get in. How do we make the magic happen once you've learned the chords, once you've learned the arrangements and all of that sort of thing? So it's funny, I've tapped into an area that's like people can play, but they're, in this world now where everyone's playing in the box or playing individually, the art of almost being in a room and connecting, a drummer playing with a bass player and a vocalist, that's kind of gone by the wayside. So that takes up a fair amount of my time. And then obviously, lastly, I'm with Jazzy B and Soul to Soul, which, considering that the big record was like 30 years back, we're still touring hard, like big shows, because Jazzy is a very smart guy, and he's their the Soul to Soul family fan base have just followed us all the way through. So that still takes us. Like last year, we did Australia. We did one show, LA. We just did a support tour with UB40. We got a show with Mary J. Blige later this year. So there's a lot of music going on, So I'm grateful and give thanks for that.
Nice.
You say you got your own band. Do you write your own material as well?
Well, yes. I mean, it's like that's one. To be honest, in all of the things that I said, I'd like to split it right down the middle, because I just love being in the studio as well, Nothing, because I love vocal production. Keys is my instrument, but I'm just into the sound of the voice and harmony and all of that sort of thing, because being a keys player, it just lends itself to what I actually do, So just getting together with them, if they've got a top line, we'll sit there and we'll try and create, because again, I think coming up from the time that I came up, all of the classic records still sound great because they were done human to human, as opposed to, I do a lot of sessions where people will send me stems. I just come off a phone as an artist that I was working with in Paris, and they're saying they're going to send me the track and then I'll play my parts. But there's something about just getting in a room and feeling your energy. And even though you can write it and say, it's A flat to blah, 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 there's something about feeling that vibe that it's different. And sometimes with the technology that we have now, it can almost be like a dying art, And I know it's hard because sometimes we're all spread out all over the world, so we can't all come together. But when you can, I encourage my students. I'm like, I know we got the tech where you can go home and put down the bass and put down the strings and get a sample, but get in rooms and just play music. That's, to me, that's where it starts in my opinion, Mm.
Is some of your music on the socials?
It's some of the artists that I work with, their music is on social. I don't go out because I've been so busy being, how can I put it? I hate to use the word the side man. The Bryant album hasn't materialized yet, but I've been very inspired by, there's a guy from New York called Robert Glasper, who I'm a massive fan of, who's a New York pianist, and he's had 3 albums, 3 Grammy Award winning albums, where it's like, it's called the Robert Glasper Experiment. No, it's called Black Radio 1, Black Radio 2. And he's basically him, but he's got all of these different featured artists coming in, singing on his tracks, you know?
Ooh,
and I really like the idea of that concept. So that is something that we're figuring out at the moment, you know? When you're a touring musician, it takes up a lot of time, but I think I'm at that stage now where it's like, I've given so much to others, which has been great because I've learned so much from these artists, and it's been a privilege. Some of these artists I've worked with, just the learning process, just being in the room with them, it's gold, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something now. I feel it's at that stage where, you know, music, it turns up when it turns up.
Yeah.
I have something to say, and I've got a lovely network of creatives that are like, Brian, when you're ready, let's do it, you know. So I'm excited about that. Watch this space. It's coming. It's coming. Yeah.
I could dig it. Tom?
Yeah. As I mentioned, you've got over 20 years of experience in the business, and you briefly sort of touched on technology there with what you were saying just now. How do you see the changes that have happened in technology? Do you feel that they've been a positive or potentially a negative to how music is produced and the way things are done now? Do you see where I'm going with this? Do you think
Yes,
it's
100%.
majorly negative, or kind of?
I feel, because I've seen it, like with it's a great resource. There are some things like I'm split right down the middle for it, because if it's used in the right way, it can be a great tool, because it can speed up a lot of things that we would have to do before. Like an example might be I do a lot of work with like some of the older artists, like, because in the UK, the old soul scene is crazy. It's big. The people that are into soul music in the 80s and the 90s, they still have these huge soul weekenders, and you know, so what they tend to do is bring over all of these artists, your kind of Gene Khan's, your Norman Connors, those type of acts, you know, Roy Ayers, or the late great Roy Ayers, you know. And so what they do is, when these Americans come over, we get the tracks, but obviously there's no sheet music, and so we just get audio. So things like the technology now, where you can separate the stems to really hear what the second keyboard player is doing, or what the actual bass line is, it's really good for things like that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there are a lot of things where it's like, hey, you see the adverts on Instagram, hey man, you can mix your track in 5 seconds, man, just put it through this. But it's not. Those things are, I call them good sketch pads. So if you're like a writer coming up and you've got a great idea, and you can build the demo in the box in your studio, you can run it through some things and you can get it together. But it's like, for me, it's the imperfections of music that makes music great. Yeah. You know, your perception of how you would mix it, how you hear that snare, how you hear that vocal. So there's no plugin. I say that to my students. I'm like, listen, we got plugins for everything, you know, kick drum, this, that. But I said, there is not a plugin that's been introduced yet called Vibe or Feel. You know, someone show me that plugin. You know, you can get simulations, but the problem what I find with the newer AI stuff, it's somebody else's simulation. It's someone else's.
That's right.
It's like someone else's opinion on how your music and how creativity that's coming from here should be, you know? So
fair enough.
And I just think that my only concern is that like magic happens, because when you look, because I'm so much of a historian, I say to myself, why was Off the Wall so good? Why was Songs in the Key of Life so good? But when you actually do the digging, they had masters in the room. Quincy was great because he brought in musicians that could play.
Yeah.
So, and then he sat back and just made the ringmasters. But my concern now with the new thing that's coming through is like where you can download a chord pack and you can download a drum loop, and you can download this. The art of playing music, it's making, I see it with some of my students where it's making them lazy.
Yeah.
Because the good stuff happens. For me, the good stuff happens when you go through that period of, what is it? You're searching. And it might be the idea that you had first, but you've gone through this whole process.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was there, rather than now it's just like this cut and paste thing. So that's the negative side of things, because I can hear it. I can hear it. You can just hear that I've taken that, stuck that there, I've taken that, stuck that there, and taken that, you know? But the flip side of that is, because of it, without me even going, don't get me started about streaming and all of that sort of thing, you know, because that's a whole nother conversation. It's affected. If that's your way of generating income for you, right, it's a problem, you know? So I think the positive now is that I say to my students, you guys, you need to be able to play. You need to be able to take your creativity out and stand in front of other humans and charge them for it, you know?
Absolutely.
So it's a long answer, but
no, it makes a lot of sense. Absolutely.
Music is an art form, and it's a gift, and you have to treat it like plants. You have to water it. There's no shortcuts, you know? I mean, some will get it good, but you got to, and I say, especially the vocal audience, you don't know who you are until you spend time around your craft, you know, which means you just got to get up and want to do it, not just, I need to make money, or I want to be famous, or I want to, you know. So
let me ask you something. Who were some of your favorite social conscious music artists?
I've got to start with, it's got to be Marvin Gaye. If we're going back there, because the reason being, it's like I've read his book, and I actually was involved in a Marvin Gaye songbook thing where it wasn't a tribute thing, but the actual whole concept was his story, where he started as a session musician, and then obviously ended up in the whole Motown thing, and then the pop, you know, all the pop hits and all of that sort of thing. But then when he moved into all of that situation with his brother, you know, being in Vietnam, and just like Barry Gordy saying, let's have some more bubblegum music. And Marvin's like, no. It just resonated with him that it's more than just, I need to write a melody and some stuff just for money, you know? So I think he was the first catalyst, and that What's Going On album, I know it's an obvious choice, but when you listen to it now, lyrically and harmonic, it still stands up. You know, that
50 years later.
Yeah. It's you know, Marvin was definitely up there. Donny Hathaway for different reasons, you know, because you know, what it was, even though he wasn't maybe as political as say Marvin, but you could feel the pain, you know. And I think music is a thing that even if you don't quite get the connotation of the lyric, I could feel when I was coming up, there's something about this guy, you know, the energy and the spirit, you know. So artists like that, you know. Miles Davis, again, from a different point of view, because Miles was a trailblazer, you know. When bebop was at the top, killing, best band, Herbie Hancock, Ron Carter, you know, Tony Williams, you know, and then Miles was like, no, man, I'm gonna, you know, push the boundaries just to see where he fits as a human, you know. And these guys, because you can go back into their catalog and still learn, you know.
Oh yeah.
Prince, you know, again, for different reasons, but just if you chronologically follow his career, you can see as a human, someone that was searching. And what I find is, it's not necessarily that you have to agree with everything an artist has to say, but I love when an artist is saying something. It makes you think, you know. It makes you go away and go, well, I I wouldn't have done that, but what would I have done as a human on this planet, you know? So
Yeah, you think of John Lennon,
of course, yeah,
and Nina Simone,
yes,
right?
yeah,
Even the OJs with money, 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 money. That was a social consciousness.
yeah. And that
So
one was very clever because you think money, money, you're just at the club, yeah. But when you actually listen, you know, yeah,
man.
Because there was a tune brother, I heard, and I still hear it, and I love it. People make the world go round, you know. But that will
wow.
Go round. When you listen to them lyrics,
man. That's social conscious.
Whoa, yeah,
that's social conscious.
Yeah, that one hits me, and that's written from an American perspective. They're talking about Wall Street and all of that sort of thing, but the lyrics and the melody, when great lyrics and great melody come together, man, it's powerful. It's powerful.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Oh, gosh,
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah,
they was doing that type of music. Man, bless you for the privilege of your time to come on the show today.
It's a pleasure to be here and just talk shop, you know. When I say talk shop, music isn't shop, because I'm making it sound like it's not, you know, because I think it's a thing. I think the best shows I've done is like, people think the work is like, oh, people send you a bunch of music and then you just learn it and then you turn up at the rehearsal room and then just play it and then that's it. But what I've learned is that you got to know the artist, you know. It's the why. For me personally, it's the why, you know. The song, the tunes, yes, that's the end result. But how did we get there, you know? Yeah. We've got to try and, So for me, I like to, if time permits, prior to a rehearsal, just even if it's an international artist, just sit down with them just for coffee, and I won't even talk about the set. I'll just ask questions about them, you know, and prod them, you know. It gives me a different approach on how I need to arrange the music or enhance what's already been done, you know.
Tom's going to get all your information, man, so we can spread the love. All right.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Yeah, really want just really any kind of social media contacts maybe that you've got, or any kind of websites you've got that you can give us that we can send people off to see what you're up to.
So you can find out my day-to-day on my Instagram at Brian F. Henry. And then my website has everything about what I do, you know, the live stuff, the agency, where I do music stuff, and then the workshops. And that's bfhmusic.com. You know,
we'll put the links in the bottom of the video, and people can go off and check that out.
Bless you for coming, brother.
Thanks,
my man. Thank you for being here, short and sweet. Let's do this again, yeah.
Yeah, great to meet you.
We're gonna do this again. All the best to you.
Thank you so much for watching. To stay up to date, please click subscribe and hit the bell. You can also join our group on Facebook and find us on LinkedIn and Instagram.